Welcome everybody to this edition of Soulful Sessions. With me today is Madeleine Parker. And hey, Madeleine, and we're going to be sharing the cosmic forecast for the month of May. Madeleine and I were having a little chat, actually a pretty long chat before recording today, talking through just this wild full moon energy that closed out the month of April. We're talking about the energy that's ushering in the month of May and what that means for us. And the end of May, I'm going to give a little bit of a giveaway here. At the end of May, there's a full moon eclipse, which is huge. And Madeleine's going to be sharing a little bit about that later. Remember that Madeleine and I also have two IG lives every month. We do them the Thursday before the new moon and the Thursday before the full moon on Instagram at 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 Pacific. And, please come join us for that, because it's a really fun way to hear about the signs that affect you. Everyone can ask questions and chime in and share what
signs, so people can tune in and get their own personal read on it a little bit.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's exactly right. So it's really, really fun. And we've had a few people that have consistently shown up, and I think they're really getting a lot of enjoyment and information out of that. And then Madeleine and I are also going to do something new this month. We are going to debut a new moon ritual this month, and we're doing that on YouTube. So we're mixing it up a little bit. So we're going to be doing that on Madeleine's YouTube channel. We'll be sharing more information about that coming up, but just so that everyone knows, I was just looking back for my notes. I believe that is going to be, the new moon ritual is going to be on the new moon, which is on May 11th. And we're going to do that at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. And we'll be sharing more info about that. But if you're listening to this before that date, please do take a peek into to the social media channels, and if you're on our email list, you'll get the information about that. But it's going to be really, really fantastic. So, all right.
And just to we're going to talk about it anyway, but this new moon is a Taurus new moon. It's a very auspicious new moon. So it's a good thing to do a ritual like that, because it is going to help you materialize. It's a materializing new moon. So it's a powerful moon for calling in new intentions and materializing. So that's why we want to really, and it's an exalted moon in Taurus. So it's going to be a good thing. And it raises your vibes and helps you sort of consciously align with a higher, better reality that you want to manifest.
Oh, count me in. I want to do that.
All
that
right,
sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's definitely, I know.
Right.
So let's definitely touch back in on that and maybe share a little bit more about that as we go. But for now, what is the beginning of the month? What do we have to look forward to, or what do we have to expect?
Well, at the very beginning of the month, we have a rather interesting thing happening. So the month is going to start off with a rather interesting boom. Because what's happening is we've got the sun. Should we share this or not? Should I share?
Yeah, if you want to. So for those of you who are joining us on the podcast platform, Madeleine is going to share her screen so we can see the chart, so we can get a little bit of a better sense of if you were to look at this yourself, like what all of these little symbols and the lines and everything mean. If you're listening in and not looking at it, we'll be sharing what is on the screen, so you're not going to miss out on that. But if you're interested in learning more, I would recommend that you folks pop over to either one of our YouTube channels. I post all of the podcasts on my blog at karmickindness.com. You'll be able to find it. So that's a really fast track way to be able to gain access to the video of the podcast, if that is of interest to you. So, okay, Madeleine, let's jump in.
You can see the chart here?
Yes.
Okay, good. So what we're looking at for the beginning of the month of May is we've got Saturn is squaring Uranus, which is happening pretty much most of the year. Saturn is a very slow moving planet. Uranus is a very slow moving planet. So this is a transit that's going to be going, and plus Saturn is going in retrograde at some point. It's going to go back over Uranus. So, so the beginning of the month, we've got Sun conjuncting Uranus at the same time that the Sun, where is it over here? The Sun is squaring Saturn. So Sun is conjuncting Uranus at the same time the Sun is squaring Saturn, and then that means Uranus is squaring Saturn too. Where's Uranus? Somewhere around here. Uranus is squaring Saturn. Saturn squaring Uranus right there. So what does that mean? Well, if you look at the chart and we're looking at where Uranus, there is Uranus, that little thing that looks like a little fire, I guess.
Mhm.
There's the Sun. So you can't see because it's written there, but there they are right together, Sun, and then it's squaring Saturn over here in the sign of Aquarius. So the outer planets tend to win in a square off. So I think what we're going to look at, it could be a financial something booming, changing in the finances. Okay. But we have an exalted Venus at this time in the sign of Taurus. So in my opinion, it's going to be a positive change. It's going to be a good outcome, but it will be a change. Uranus is sudden surprises, sudden changes. You could get another situation where the people are squaring Saturn around finances. Like something, I can't remember what happened a month ago, where the people sort of were victorious against a financial shift that happened with the establishment, and the people came out on top. Well, that's the kind of power the Sun is powering the people. The Sun is on Uranus. Uranus is the people squaring Saturn. Could also be more social upheavals and demonstrations, but the people are going to win. I mean, that's what's going to happen. I think Saturn, any sort of presidents and hierarchy government officials who study astrology are not going to like that transit. But basically, the people are going to be empowered by the Sun. There's going to be revelations. The Sun reveals stuff. It brings actions. It's a trigger point. So in my opinion, you're going to see some kind of a movement from the people, and that's going to expand. But Taurus, remember, is a sign of finances, but also stability and new foundations. So be creative with that, but it's very possible we are looking at something changing financially. And again, I'm going with it being positive because we've got Venus and Taurus. Which, and by the way, Venus is coming out of combustion too at the beginning of the month in May 4th. Venus has sort of been in hiding. She's coming out as an evening star, very abundant, very, very abundant energies. So things look good in my opinion, plus Jupiter is moving. Let's jump here to Jupiter. Well, we'll talk about Mercury goes into retrograde at the end of the month, but Jupiter, just really quick, moves into Pisces May 15th. That's going to be great. Jupiter's in its own rulership in the sign of Pisces. So we're going to have Venus in an exalted sign, Jupiter in its rulership. When those planets are in their rulership or exaltations, things are really good financially for people. And romance, good too, because we've got Venus coming out of combustion. In the sign of Taurus, we're really grounding these new beginnings that are more auspicious. We're grounding new, more auspicious beginnings.
So quick question.
Yeah.
The Jupiter and Pisces, when is that? Is that happening after the squares and the conjunctions you talked about earlier?
Yeah, okay. I sort of jumped ahead on that because I just wanted to say that that's such a positive transit, that
when is that occurring roughly?
May 15th.
Oh, May 15th.
Okay. That's like one of my lucky numbers. I bought my properties on May 15th. I sold my property on May 15th. I made really good money on May 15th. Both of those went really well. So 515 is like some very weird lucky number for me. So, and that hits my moon, by the way. My moon is 1 degree Pisces. So I'm going to have a Jupiter hit on my moon. Very auspicious.
And then what about
forward to that transit?
What about the conjunctions and the squares? When are they? Is that, you said earlier in the month, is that more like?
Yeah, that won't last long because the sun moves a degree a day, and we're looking at a six. So it's about a 6 degree. It's a 6-day transit. It takes 3 days to perfect, and then 3 days to release. Okay. And I think we're perfecting on. Let's see, May 2nd. We have the sun conjunct Uranus at 2 degrees. Uranus is 10, and the sun. Oh yeah, the sun will be off that. Let's see. Maybe it aspects on the sun, Taurus, Uranus. Ooh, it aspects the 30th is when it hits its point. It's that last day of March is when it's actually aspecting at 0 degrees. Let me see, did I get 0
Oh, you mean
degrees?
April, the last day of April? You said
Yeah.
March. Okay, April. Okay.
Sorry, April. April 30th, we have the sun in Taurus and we have Uranus. We have the sun at 10 degrees Taurus and Uranus at 10 degrees Taurus. So that should be a direct sun conjunct hit.
Okay, so but that's still going to be at play the beginning of May. So it's also, and obviously we're recording this a little bit before the beginning of May.
We're looking at it tomorrow. I don't know when you're going to post this, but we're on right now. We're recording this April 29th. So April 30th, tomorrow, we're going to start aspecting. We're going to start coming up to that aspect.
Okay, and people,
Well, actually, you might even already be on it, to be honest with you, but something's wrong with my chart right now. It's not giving me the right degrees. I don't know. Sometimes that happens.
okay.
So anyway, we're direct aspecting tomorrow. So yes, we're at about 2 degrees up to it right now. So anyway, bottom line is we're going to see some shakeup. Could be earthquake again. Anytime you get Uranus on that, Uranus is in Taurus right now. That's earthquake, the dirt, the earth. Sun squaring Uranus, squaring Saturn, could be old buildings coming down again, structures. But again, old structures coming down. Uranus changes, sun changes. The people are going to cause evolution in Saturn. There's an evolution changing Saturn, which is anything rigid, there's a new structure coming. So these old structures are coming down, and we got these new structures in Taurus, all these planets in Taurus creating new structures. We've got Venus, Mercury in Taurus.
Okay, so let me ask you a question about some of the, the aspects you mentioned earlier about like the financial pieces and, having the energy around, people rising up, people winning, about there being a bit more of a financial, I don't know if you said boom, but that was in my head for some reason. And a positive change. Could that, I guess my question is like, wherever it's falling for each person, that may show up differently for them. So for someone, it may be, could it be a financial win in a professional arena, while for someone else, it may be a financial win in a personal arena?
Where the sun rules your chart, Leo rules your chart.
Okay.
Is going to be, see, my Leo over the second house will be good for me financially. So wherever Leo covers your chart is where the sun rules your chart.
Okay.
So yeah, there'll be a pretty big shift and change over where Leo rules your chart. But then also let's look at Uranus, where Aquarius rules your chart. And what do we got? Taurus. So in the sign of Taurus, where Venus rule your chart. So we are, Venus is also important here because it's in the sign of Taurus. So Venus is going to rule opposite that. So,
okay.
I mean, where Libra rules your chart too is Venus, because we've got 3 kind of planets involved here. We've got the sun, we've got Uranus, which is Uranus, and then we've got Venus in the mix because it's in the sign of Taurus. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Venus is money. So like for instance, I have Libra over my 4th, and that's Venus, and then I have Taurus over my 11. So it's very possible some kind of a shift in my property that I'm invested in financially. I might get a big boom in my value of my property. Okay.
Yeah. So really, no matter where it is in people's chart, they can, using those tools, they can look and see where it may be affecting them personally. But overall, as a general
on the whole, are negative though. Let's put it that way. But it means change in action. So change in action, for some people, it might be negative, but really it's because there is going to be a big shift towards your better direction.
Yeah.
There's definitely a new beginning occurring in everybody's lives that you don't fully understand at this point, because it's a whole new world creating now. We can't really understand how it's shaping up. It's hard to know.
So basically, just do your best to not become discouraged if things get shaken up and it's very uncomfortable or doesn't look super.
This could have a personal square on your chart somewhere. You could have, you can have a personal aspect in your own planet. A planet could be somewhere in all of this that's a malefic that causes you to have to really release something that you're not willing to release in order for this new change to occur. So, so that Uranus square, if you've got some kind of a planet conjuncting that, and I think I might.
You might want to look at that, Madeleine.
Yeah, I think I better check my chart.
Yeah.
But these are powerful changes coming in.
Yeah. Well, and you and I were talking before we began recording, that I think this is a prime example of, the importance of knowing at least some minimal aspects of your chart, so that you can get a better sense of what's happening, because, the last.
It's really not hard to pull up your chart and see what planets are being hit by it. You don't have to be an astrologist. It's really easy.
Yeah. Well, and I think, if I appreciate you sharing that with everyone, because I think a lot of us can get overwhelmed by, for those who saw the chart that Madeleine just shared, it looks like a lot's happening, and how can you possibly decipher that? But it does, that site does break it down, astro-charts.com. It does break it down so you have a better sense of what you're looking at. But it's interesting because the Scorpio full moon that just completed, it was a huge one for me that has shaken up so many different parts of my life. And then I have talked to other people where they have had positive changes in their life. They've had little to no effect from that moon. And so I think that's really a key piece, is that, there are some moons that are really, that can really affect everyone as a whole. And then there's some where it's really going to hone in on certain people depending on their chart. And so, I guess my point is, in what we share, recognize that we're sharing the overarching energies. We're sharing kind of the summary of events, and that doesn't mean that you may not have a little bit of a discomfort in things that happen, or more of a comfort level than we described. So,
and again, if you do want like a personal read, I can always look at your own, the thing to do is to get a personal read to know exactly what's going on in your chart. These are just sort of generals, because, and also you may not know, like when we do these reads and we're telling people what sun sign is in the house, what house covers it, and all that, you don't know your ascendant. So a lot of people don't know their ascendant and their moon. So they don't know that they're getting hit by these other ones, because your ascendant, it depends. If it's a solar eclipse, your sun is going to be really the most dominant thing to look at. But a lot of times it is your ascendant that's really, you really notice the shift from your ascendant house, your ascendant, where it falls from the house to your ascendant. And because like for me, that would have been more in my 6th and 5th. And I would say it hit me for sure more in my 6th than it did in my sun sign, So
you feel things, yes.
Variable issues here that you can only really know for sure when you look at your fingerprint. Your chart is like your fingerprint.
Right. So. All right, so let's march on to like the next aspects. I mean, you mentioned a couple of pretty big ones already. Is there something else that we need to know, or
we talked about Pisces Jupiter going into Pisces, right?
Yeah.
We have Mercury going RX. Well, Mercury shifts into the sign of Taurus from Gemini. Again, a grounding energy. Mercury in Taurus it's very slowed down. Ideas slow down. Thinking, you're going to be more practical with your ideas. You're going to be more methodical. You're going to be more, your ideas and your thoughts and your communication, because Mercury is all about that, are going to be more centered and focused on creating the foundation, creating stability, planning, building, that's a nice energy for Mercury in the Taurus energy. And May 4th, it moves into Taurus. So that's in about this week. You're going to notice a shift in that energy. It's going to be more slow, because Venus is in Taurus. Venus is in Taurus right now and moves into Gemini on May 9th. So we've got Mercury moving into Gemini on May 4th, Venus moving into Gemini May 9th. So when that happens, you're going to get more activity going, more thought ideas. So the beginning of the month, Mercury is in Taurus, where you're planning, you're laying foundation. Then, and Venus and both go into Gemini. You're going to get much more mental energy, planning, scheming, strategizing, communicating, emailing, all of that. Okay, does that make sense? And then,
So,
Mercury is going to go into retrograde at the end of the month. So you've got Mercury in shadow 2 weeks before it goes into retrograde. So, probably I'm going to think the beginning of the month is kind of busy wise. May 4th, May 9th, you're going to see a lot of activity, mental sort of planning, ideas, concepts happening. And then Mercury goes into retrograde, where you're going to go back and probably reinitiate possibly old ideas, coming back and grounding those more, or reinventing or going back, because retrograde is always going to go back to old ideas, old thoughts, old communications, and old issues but also something that isn't supposed to be dropped is going to come back up for like I might end up doing my workshops again, like online. I'm doing them in a store, but now that's kind of thing an example is starting to make money, because Venus would be there doing my workshops again, going back. So, that might be something that happens. So, that's Venus and Mars in the month of May. Does that make sense? Is that clear?
Venus and Mars, or Venus and Mercury?
Sorry, Venus and Mercury. So for the whole month of May, most of the month of May, you've got Venus and Mercury in the sign of Gemini. So wherever Gemini covers your chart, that's going to be active.
Oh, interesting. Okay. And so when is Mercury actually going retrograde?
The very end of the month, end of May, like on the 29th. But just so everybody knows, Mercury is technically kind of in retrograde 2 weeks before. There's a shadow period.
Yeah.
People think that it matters, but I'm telling you, shadow retrograde is interesting. So
it does. I agree with you 100%. You can feel it, especially if it's hitting something personally for you.
Yeah.
You can feel it before it happens. So you're pretty much just giving everybody a little bit of a heads up that May 29th, Mercury goes into retrograde, but you're going to feel it like around the 14th, 15th as well.
Yeah. So if you're going to buy a new car or buy something new or do something new around these ideas, Mercury is communication, laptops, anything, phones. You might want to do it before that part, before May. Well, let's see, 2 weeks from the 29th.
May 14th, 15th.
Yeah, mid-month, you're good.
Yeah. Yeah, and then, Mercury in retrograde too is travel. So I'm sure when we do the June cosmic forecast, we're going to be talking about, a little bit more about that Mercury retrograde energy. Yes, because
something interesting about these planets that are hitting Gemini, they're going to cross over the North Node this month. So all these planets are going to hit the North Node. So these are ideas and ways of working or earning money or the way you enjoy life, because Venus is about enjoying life, but it's also about like abundance. So creating abundance through the North Node, following your North Node, aligning with this new the North Node right now, because we're going to get that eclipse at the end of the month. The South Node is in Sagittarius. People are really opening up to new ideas, new ways of doing things. So we're going to get these ideas are going to be much more activated, the North Node, which is the new ways, which is what we're reaching to do, what we want to achieve, kind of thing. Is going to be we're going to be very actively on our path, on the true purpose path. Does that make sense? But it's going to be new, because Gemini's new information, communication, ideas.
And is this happening all month?
Yeah, well, this is going to be happening. Let's see, when does Gemini is, the North Node is 12 degrees Gemini. So all these planets are going to go hitting the North Node probably about halfway through the month.
Okay. So again, this is another thing. We're going to be kind of feeling this the beginning of the month, kind of leading up to it, and then as it crosses over and beyond.
Yeah, Mercury hits the North Node on May 10th. So Mercury is going to cross over the North Node on May 10th. And that's going to last about 3 or 4 days. And then Venus is going to follow it.
Okay. Yeah, so that's great to know for people, because, I would highly recommend you read up on your North Node, because then you'll have a sense of what what is being activated? What are you being guided
I
to?
know that that's your purpose. That's your true purpose. It's a good way to locate what your purpose is, because you're like, oh my gosh, okay, I'm getting a lot of communication around this thing. This must be the way we're headed, you know.
Yeah, yeah. And then let's talk a little bit about the I don't know, maybe let's touch a little bit on the new moon energy, just so folks have a sense of that, and then the full moon to close out the month, because and again, we're going to be going into this a lot more in depth on the lives on Instagram.
Yeah.
Coming up the Thursday before each. But I think it would be great to give people kind of a general sense of what they might expect for the new moon on the 11th and the full moon on the 26th.
Yeah, so we've got this new moon in Taurus, very good, very auspicious new moon in the sign of Taurus, and that's on the 11th. So that'll be like, let me just take a look and see how that looks that day. So
Sure.
we won't go too much into depth in that, because we're going to do that on your IG live, right?
Yeah, just give us a little bit of a flavor, like,
Sure.
what sort of
I think it looks like an okay new moon, because it's in the sign of Taurus, which is pretty abundant. And I don't get any other major squares that day other than the Saturn square Uranus, which is always going on. We've got Mercury conjuncting the North Node that day. So yeah, this new moon will bring everybody ideas. That's the day the North Node is conjuncting Gemini. Mercury is conjuncting the North Node at the same time of this new moon in Taurus. So new ideas will come in that will make you a lot of money, good money, suddenly, because we got this Uranus still there. So that new moon may be that's why that you want to do some really good rituals that day.
nice.
Yeah, and then the North Node is in on that. So these are ideas that really do. And when you follow your North Node, that's where your abundance is. That's the universe plans it that way, because that's how you know you're on the right track. The doors are opening up for you abundant. And when you're on your North Node, it was literally designed that everything was going to be there for you. That's where you were going to go get it. And that's why things happen really. If you follow your North Node, even if you goof up and fall on your face a bunch of times, you just get back up, you'll be fine. You succeed. So, yeah, when you do your North Node, it's like weird how this person succeeded. It's like, wow, well, they were following their North Node, as disastrously as it may have seemed, because your North Node is where your soul has never walked before. So you're gonna hiccup. So with this, yeah.
No, go ahead, Madeline.
So yeah, with this North Node and Venus conjuncting the North Node and Mercury, because even Venus is going to be Venus is at 3 degrees Gemini, so it's a little further away, but Mercury on the North Node with Venus being really there, that's going to be a very interesting moon. I say that's us getting ideas that will shift our direction, that are very abundant.
I love it. And I think I want to share just one little tidbit that I'll likely also share during the new moon ritual that we're going to do on the 11th. But I have this clipboard that I use. I write it to take notes and jot little ideas down, whatever. Anytime, I'm kind of a nerd that way. But on my clipboard too, I have my moon calendars, and I also have I printed out my North Node, basically all the aspects of my North Node for both Vedic and tropical systems, which for me, they both fall in the same sign, but different houses. And so there's a little bit more information and a little bit more energy that I'm, putting into what I look at and what I read. And what's great about it is it gives you, or in this case for me, it gives me a sense of focus on not only what I need to let go of, but also what I need to do more of. So like for me, it's about a big focus is letting go of the past and clinging to the way things used to be, which is that it's holding me back from the prosperous, comfortable future that awaits me. Okay, so that's like my opener. The other aspects about it are about discipline in my daily life is the key to success. Seek facts and figures to balance out my beliefs and hunches. So, I follow my intuition and my inner guidance almost exclusively. But there are times when it's important that I get the facts and figures to back up these hunches. Like, for instance, I've been sharing on with everyone that I'm looking to sell my current home. Well, I have a hunch, I have an idea, I have an intuitive knowing as to what the price point is, but I need to back that up. I can't, you can't sell, I'm going to make up numbers. You can't sell a $500,000 property for $1.5 million. Like, it's not going to happen. You need to have facts and figures to back up your hunches. And so that's been a huge piece of the puzzle for me with following my North Node. So I would invite everyone, if you're able, to go online, get a free chart. A couple of the sites will give you information, and then summarize it for yourself. Go through and write it down or make a printout. And I also printed this out and I have it in my bathroom in like the back. I taped it on the back of the cabinet door where I get my toothpaste every day and my toothbrush. And, I look at that, not every single day, but I look at it fairly often enough where it's in my head, it's in my field, and I'm able to, to really focus on that forward movement for me. So just an idea for folks going forward, if they are looking to, like you said, Madeline, like have that sense of direction. And I love how you describe the North Node as it's where everything is there for you. It's the place where the universe puts stuff for you to come and get it. That's not quite exactly the way you said it, but I thought that was so cool. That's a really fun way to look at it.
Yeah. And doors open up for you that way. It's usually scary. Remember, the South Node is the opposite of that. That's what you're coming from. And the other thing that's really interesting about this full moon and the lunar eclipse that's coming up afterwards, is a total lunar eclipse, right? Full moon lunar eclipse on the 26th, is that's in the sign of Sagittarius, hitting the South Node. So this new moon is hitting the North Node. And then we got the solar eclipse hitting the South Node. So it's kind of like flipped. It almost feels like the solar eclipse should hit the South Node first, getting rid of the old things, and then the new ideas coming in. But we're really going to be releasing old, worn out ideas and mythologies and types of spiritualism, and we're going to shift. It's almost like we're shifting into a new academic version of spiritualism. Like people are going to take it more seriously. But again, spiritualism is a big, wide 180-degree spectrum. Spiritualism can be, food, health, stopping the GMO, rebalancing the soil, anything that advances humanity and civilization, improves civilization, is really spiritual. It's where you're putting faith in you're creating a better reality, right? So you're going to get a whole new way of seeing the world, a whole new way of seeing our potentials and our possibilities. So it's a really fabulous thing. But I do think people are going to come up. It's possible what happens at the beginning of May shifts people's perceptions to the point that people take more risks. People feel more brave to be more spiritually motivated, which seems less materially secure.
And so what you were just talking about like releasing old ideas, that's around the time of the new moon.
Yes. So,
okay.
The new moon is Taurus, May 11th. The full moon eclipse is on the 26th of May. And that's hitting, and that's at 5 degrees, and that's really close to the South Node. So, an eclipse is an old energy going out and a new energy coming in, or actually it's the energy just transforms. It doesn't go, it's like a baby is born and a grandparent dies. It's on eclipses. So when you're, I'm just trying to understand what you were just sharing about releasing old ideas. Was that based around the full moon eclipse or the new moon? Yes, the full moon eclipse happening at 5 degrees Sagittarius is going to hit the South Node. The South Node is what we're releasing, what we're getting rid of.
Okay.
Lunar eclipsing is getting rid of old stagnant ways, old philosophies, old beliefs. It's like things that did not progress us, old belief systems that didn't progress us, that are blocking the North Node from happening.
So maybe it's set up this way with the new moon in Taurus, with all these ideas coming in. It's like, okay, we have these ideas, that's great. And then the full moon's coming in to say, okay, for these to really be solidified, you've got to clear this stuff out. But you got your ideas already, and let's just get them in place. So maybe that.
And full moon, what I think is going to happen on that eclipse is you're going to wake up and you're going to realize you can let that security belief system go, now you're going to have a whole new belief system. You're going to seek you're going to seek higher knowledge, because Gemini is opposing it. So it's like information comes in that shifts your beliefs in a big way. Information is going to come in that's in the new moon, maybe. And with this Uranus square that's coming up, it's like information coming in, and internet is involved. Uranus is internet. So and money. So there's suddenly, I think people will on a massive scale shift to a more abundant mentality and have more faith in taking financial risks to step more into their north node. Because at the beginning, when you step into your north node, you don't really necessarily see where it's not like, oh, there's all the abundance. I mean, you're kind of pulling out of the south node the whole time and going into your north node. So it's like, you might by that eclipse go, okay, this is the new life. This is the new way we're going. It is financially sustainable. And I was completely wrong in my thinking that it wasn't. Like, wow, I did see the world in very lack mentality. I did see things as being too rigid. I did think it was only this way, but it's not true. You can live on a financial venture that seems risky. It can suddenly make you money. Like, because Uranus is, again, sudden. And these are Taurus energies. It's about money. So we could be suddenly seeing a potential financial abundance. Jupiter in Pisces is really auspicious. That's when Jupiter moves into Pisces. Jupiter moves into Pisces May 15th, right there. But we're getting at that new moon, the 11th, Jupiter is starting to move into Pisces. We're already starting to get the benefic energies of that. So I'm going with, my vote is that it's going to be good. Very good.
Okay, so I love the way you kind of set up I love the way you set up the kind of the way the flow of energy is occurring between the new moon and then Jupiter moving into Pisces. And then how would you complete that story towards the end of the month with the full moon based on the new? So you were saying, you've got the new moon in Taurus, you've got these new ideas and this sense of it's something that might feel a little bit scary because it's new coming in. And then you've got this auspiciousness, this more okay, maybe this is going to be okay with the Jupiter and Pisces. Then we have the full moon in Sagittarius. That's also an eclipse. That happens to, be right on the south node, which is going to allow, which is a little bit more of a, I don't know if I want to say comfortable place, but the south node is like all of it's the old stuff. It's the things you may not need anymore.
Yeah.
Maybe letting go of that.
With that eclipse on that south node. Oh, sorry. Wow. Isn't that weird, that timing?
That really was.
Yeah. That's what's going to happen on your south node. Your old life, the south node is your past life too. So it's like, my south node is Capricorn. So it's really interesting because my MC is Pisces and my north node is Cancer. My ascendant is Cancer. I'm literally supposed to not do Capricorn. I'm supposed to abandon all Capricorn type thing. I'm not supposed to try to plan everything, schedule everything, make a thing. I'm supposed to literally flow like water about it all. So weird. So I'm going to let go some old fear because it's going to hit because your nodes, you're going to look at your nodes anyway, even though it's activating Gemini Sagittarius house, your nodes are going to be activated too. So I'm going to let go of a real secure drive way, because in my last life, by working hard and getting status was my way of security.
Yeah.
So I got to let that go and be more motherly, more flowy, more empathic, more just like go with the flow. And that's like I was like, that's how I am with my clients when I do reads and stuff. It's like, I don't really schedule. People just call me and text me, can you do a read? I'm like, sure. It's like, flow. and it's like, I just realized that's how I'm supposed to do it. And I find myself much more that like, it's better for me not to go all Capricorn-y.
Yeah. It is. It works out much better for you to have.
Yeah.
You have see, and I guess what's interesting is, you know, when we did an earlier cosmic forecast,
Right.
there was the energy for you that was coming up, and actually for a lot of us was about creating structures and foundations.
Right.
And so you had worked with someone who was giving you some ideas as to different structures and foundations, and you were resisting it. You were a bit reluctant about it. And while maybe some aspects of that remain true for you, you are beginning to see and embrace that going with the flow and going with the system and structure that you currently have with some new additions is actually a better way to go. So
actually, yes, but I am probably going to end up doing that, because if I get too busy, I can't schedule.
Oh,
So
I see. Okay.
See, so that was significant that I set that up. Then I wasn't quite really
Ready.
to transform that flow energy there.
Okay. Okay. Gotcha.
It wasn't fitting, but now as I'm flowing more, like I get text reads more, I've opened up for that. It's like, I can see how that can work in a more flow vibe. Do you get what I'm saying? Like,
totally do. That's great. That's a great distinction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, because like it is like I get in these texting conversations when somebody wants to schedule, and I'm like, oh, and it's like you end up losing time with all that. It's like it's easier.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, it's on 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. Oh, you've got a dinner. Oh, okay, how about? It's like it's way easier, but I have to see how to make that shift and maintain that flow of Cancer, Pisces.
I think that's great, and I think that it also it highlights, at least in my mind, where, you know, as people are beginning to follow the messaging, the forecast that we're sharing, and how they're translating it into their own lives, that you know, you are going to get these little hits of things, and they may not stick immediately. Kind of like the scheduling is a perfect example. It may not stick immediately, but it doesn't mean it may not come into play later. And you can have a structure that is flowy too. So there's just, I don't know, there seems like there's a lot there.
Yeah, what I need to do is flow into that somehow. It's got to flow right. Whereas I was trying to make it happen and make it this and everybody start scheduling. It's like, no, it's going to flow, because soon what's happening as I'm teaching works, I'm doing more workshops, and we might talk about doing some workshops on Zoom. So I'm just going to send them the text link.
Yeah. Yeah. Perfect. That's perfect.
So,
yeah.
Right. Whereas before, the way I was kind of was blocky energy, was Capricorn blocky energy on it. You know what I mean? So that's the kind of evolution your South and North Node is pushing you on. It's like there is a blending that has to occur, but you're really leaning more strong in your ascendant, your MC, and your North Node. And some people, if they have a different ascendant, if you've got different energies in your North Node, your ascendant, and your wait, what was I talking about? Your North Node, your ascendant, and your MC, you always want to go with MC first. So MC is always going to, I mean, North Node and MC, the North Node is going to tell you how to get to your MC. But anyway, I won't get too confused.
I think everyone's going to be like, I don't know what she's talking about. So that may be, we may do a little something where we share about that. But
yeah, it's just how to sort of see, if you look at your MC, your ascendant, and your North Node, you can kind of get a pretty good idea what the mass energy is for you to really embody, and what sign that dominates in.
Well, I think that the simplest way to do this is for people to just set up an appointment with you, so that you can share that with them. Yeah. So anyway, I think that overall, I would say the month of May is going to be pretty good. You're going to have some new information coming in. Some old stuff is going to be going out. You may have a couple of bumps, but just ride that as best you can, and know that it's creating space for something new.
Biggie. Yeah. Saturn goes retrograde May 23rd.
Okay.
But malefics, when they go retrograde, are slightly nicer. It's I don't mind Pluto retrograde. I mean, sorry, Saturn retrograde. It's in the sign of Capricorn, so Pluto is in retrograde right now too. So Pluto may conjunct Saturn again here. It's probably not, because Saturn's going retrograde. So anyway, So we're going to get a Pluto, we're going to get a Saturn retrograde in the sign of Capricorn. Actually, sorry, it's in the sign of Aquarius. What am I saying? So it is in Vedic. I study Vedic too. So in Vedic,
Okay.
it's Capricorn. But Saturn is in Aquarius and is going retrograde. And I'm not sure how far back Saturn goes, whether it touches Capricorn again. I don't think it'll go that far back.
Well,
But anyway,
what is the energy that people may experience and feel with that?
Saturn is structure, your status, your career, your kind of father figure, the bosses, the government. So I would say in retrograde, you're going back and doing, and Saturn is structure. So you're going back and restructuring something. You may have to follow the rules. You may have to go back and like for instance, on my property, for example, last Saturn retrograde, I had to go back. I had to move a shed because it wasn't Saturn. It wasn't in the right spot. So I had to go back and rework something because of Saturn, because of the government. They were saying, you got to move it. Well, I moved it. It's fine. But so Saturn retrograde, and it could be in your career. It could be, but it's usually not bad because Saturn is a malefic. So in reverse, it's less malefic. So Saturn retrograde is going to come back and tell you to restructure something and do it right. That really does involve your future because Saturn is trying to align you up with your next highest, best. We're in a 29-year cycle. Saturn's in Aquarius, so it's starting a new 29-year Saturn cycle. So what happens is it's trying to ground the right thing that's going to last 30 years. You've got to have the right foundation. And if it's not the right foundation, you got to go back and do it again. So if you set something up and it wasn't done right, you're going to go back and redo the foundation. I bet you a lot of people will go back, if they have Saturn in their fourth house, will probably go back and rework the foundation of a building project. Something like that.
Well, that's it. Yeah, that's definitely that. I'm glad that you mentioned that because that does seem like that would be a pretty big deal towards the end of the month,
right?
To recognize that there may be some restructuring and that it's going to be the foundation for the next 30-year cycle. That's a big deal.
Right, especially with these nodal hits coming up where you're really going to get new ideas, new visions, new things. You're going to go back and then refix something that's going to structure that new vision and that new idea that's coming in your North Node that you're letting go of the old thing because you're expanding. So you're gonna go back and see what foundation needed restructuring that you didn't take seriously or you didn't see as the plan as big as it was. And then with all the new energy information coming in with Gemini and Mercury and Venus and Mercury, in Gemini, because Gemini is the sign of communication, is Mercury. We're getting information, ideas, and knowledge and communication around the new purpose and around your North Node lining up with your true mission that now makes it relevant to you to restructure something. You may have already you've started something that was in alignment with your North Node that will go back and needs better foundation.
Here we go. There we go. That's awesome. So that's it. That's the month of May.
That's
so
amazing.
Thank you everyone for listening, for joining with us today. I am Amalia at karmickindness.com with Madeleine Parker at soullevels.com. We're on social as well. We'll have the info in the notes below. We hope you join us for our 2 lives, Thursday before the new moon, Thursday before the full moon, and our new moon ritual, which we will be airing on YouTube on May 11th at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific.
And that'll be on Madeleine Parker YouTube channel, but also House of Spirit, which I still haven't changed, but it's HOWS of Spirit. So House of Spirit. But yeah, you can find that YouTube channel and that's where we'll do it.
Yes. Awesome. All right, everyone. So this will wrap up this May edition of the Soulful Sessions Cosmic Forecast. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will catch you all next month with the June Cosmic Forecast. Thanks again for listening to Soulful Sessions.